In 2010, a man paid 10,000 Bitcoin for two pizzas. And now it's a $1 trillion industry. Those two pizzas, today they would be worth over $600 million. Before you spiral into existential pizza-related regret, there's a more important question underneath that story. Could something like that happen again? And if it could, will you be on the right side of it this time? But to get to that answer, we need to start where this story actually starts, not with Bitcoin, with money itself. Chapter 1, In Fiat We Trust. Money is a story. It's a story that all of human civilization agreed to believe in. And it's a story that's been rewritten more than once. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors didn't have money. They had barter. You had fish, your neighbor had bread, you traded. Simple. Except for one massive problem. It only worked if both of you wanted exactly what the other person had. Economists call it the coincidence of wants. And it made large-scale commerce basically impossible. So we invented a middle layer, first cattle, then shells, then coins made from precious metals, gold and silver, because they were durable, divisible, and rare enough to hold value. Then, thousands of years later, came paper money. Backed by gold, you could theoretically walk into a government vault and exchange your dollars for physical gold. That system, the gold standard, was the world's monetary foundation for generations, until August 15th, 1971, the day Richard Nixon changed money forever. Nixon took the US off the gold standard. The dollar was no longer backed by anything you could hold in your hand. It was backed by one thing only: faith.
And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly,
faith in the government, faith in the institutions, faith in the system. And for most people, for most of history, that faith held, until 2008, when it didn't. Chapter 2, The Genesis. When Lehman Brothers collapsed in 2008, it wasn't just a bank failing. It was a moment where millions of ordinary people who had done everything right, lost their homes, their savings, their retirements. And what happened to the banks that caused it? They got a $700 billion government bailout. The message the world received was clear. The system protects itself, not you. Now imagine you're someone who already didn't trust governments or banks. Someone from the cypherpunk movement, a loose community of mathematicians, libertarians, and cryptographers who had been building towards something like this for decades. On October the 31st, 2008, right in the heart of the crisis, someone uploaded a 9-page PDF to a cryptography mailing list. The author called themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knew who they were then. Nobody knows now. The document was titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. 9 pages. No bank, no government, just math, code, and a completely new idea for how money could work. On January 3rd, 2009, Satoshi mined the first Bitcoin block. Hidden inside that block, a single line of text. The headline from that day's newspaper, another government bailout announcement, a quiet message, a receipt. And then Satoshi did something nobody expected. Something that raises a question I want you to hold for the rest of this video. They disappeared. Forever. Chapter 3, Magic Internet Money. How it actually works. This is the part where most videos lose people. So I'm going to make you a promise. By the end of this section, you'll understand Bitcoin better than 90% of the people who own it. Imagine a notebook, not just any notebook, one that's copied across tens of thousands of computers around the world, simultaneously, all the time. Every single Bitcoin transaction ever made is written in that notebook. And once it's written, it cannot be changed. Try to fake a transaction. Try to alter a single entry. And every other copy of that notebook instantly calls you a liar. Your fake version is rejected automatically by the network. That notebook is the blockchain. It's the most tamper-proof record-keeping system ever created. And anyone in the world can read it, but nobody can rewrite it. If there's no bank verifying your transactions, who does? This is where miners come in. Miners are people, and increasingly, large companies, running powerful computers that compete in a global math race. Every 10 minutes, they race to solve a complex cryptographic puzzle. The winner validates the next batch of transactions, adds a new block to the blockchain, and receives a reward in Bitcoin. This is called proof of work. And it's why Bitcoin mining consumes enormous amounts of electricity, which is one of the most valid criticisms of it. We'll get to that. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, coded into the software, unchangeable, forever. And every 4 years, the reward that miners receive gets cut in half. That event is called the halving. Less new Bitcoin enters circulation. Scarcity increases. It happened in 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. Compare that to the US dollar, which saw 40% of its entire supply printed between 2020 and 2022 alone. One system, unlimited supply, controlled by a committee of bankers. The other system, fixed supply, controlled by math. Chapter 4, Can Crypto Make You Rich? The honest answer. To answer the question that made you click this video. Can crypto make you rich? Yes. And yes, it's destroyed people. Both things are completely true. Let me give you real numbers, not cherry-picked ones. If you bought Bitcoin at $500 in 2016 and sold at any point near its 2024 highs, you made a return of over 14,000%. That's not theoretical. That happened. To real people, many of them ordinary people who just held on through the chaos. Ethereum made early holders millionaires. Solana went from 50 cents to over $250 in one cycle. Certain altcoins returned 1,000% in weeks. For every person who bought near the bottom, there's someone who bought near the top. The person who put $300,000 of life savings into Bitcoin at $20,000 in December 2017 didn't get rich. By December 2018, that investment was worth $48,000. A loss of 84%. Crypto is more volatile than any mainstream asset class on Earth. It can drop 50% in a month. It has, multiple times. The 2018 crash was worse by percentage than the dot-com crash. The 2022 crash wiped out an entire ecosystem of companies, including FTX, one of the biggest exchanges in the world, whose CEO is now in prison. So what separated the people who built real wealth through crypto from those who didn't? Looking at the data, 3 things stand out. First, they understood what they were buying, not just that the number might go up, but why. The technology, the supply mechanics, the difference between Bitcoin, which has 15 years of survival behind it, and the thousands of altcoins that have gone to zero. Understanding what you own is the single most protective thing you can do in crypto. Second, they had a time horizon measured in years, not weeks. The people who got rich on Bitcoin didn't trade it. They held it. Through Mt. Gox, through Silk Road, through the 2018 crash, through COVID, boring, unglamorous, terrifying patience. Every single Bitcoin halving has historically been followed by a new all-time high. Not immediately, but eventually. Third, they only risked what they could genuinely afford to lose. The people who mortgage their homes for crypto are not success stories. They are cautionary tales. Because crypto is not a sure thing. It never was. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying to you or to themselves. Chapter 5, The Real Risks, and Why Bitcoin Keeps Surviving. Warren Buffett called Bitcoin rat poison. Charlie Munger said he wished it had never been invented. Are they wrong? Not entirely. Their point is valid. Bitcoin produces nothing. It doesn't grow crops. It doesn't generate rent. It doesn't pay a dividend. By every traditional measure of value, cash flow, earnings, utility, it has none. But neither does gold. Gold produces nothing. We just agreed over centuries that it holds value because it's scarce and durable and can't be forged. Bitcoin is asking us to agree to the same thing, just faster and with better technology. The question isn't whether Bitcoin has intrinsic value. The question is whether enough people will keep agreeing that it does. Then there are the more specific risks. Scams. The crypto space is full of projects with no technology, no team, and no purpose. Designed purely to extract money from retail investors. Meme coins, pump and dump schemes, fake exchanges, celebrity-endorsed tokens that collapse the week after launch. If someone is promising you guaranteed returns in crypto, they are lying to you. Full stop. Regulation. Governments are still figuring out what to do with crypto. China banned mining. India has gone back and forth. The US has spent years in an uneasy standoff between the SEC, the CFTC, Congress, and the White House. One bad regulatory decision in a major economy can send prices tumbling. And there are people in power who would ban it tomorrow if they could. Competition. Ethereum is more flexible. Solana is faster. New blockchains emerge every year. Could one of them eventually replace Bitcoin? Maybe. But Bitcoin isn't trying to be the fastest or the most flexible. It's trying to be the most trusted. And critics keep predicting Bitcoin's death. It's been declared dead over 400 times by reputable publications since 2010. And every single time, it came back. Not because it's perfect, because it keeps surviving. And in a world of unstable institutions, inflating currencies, and failing governments, survival might be the most valuable feature of all. Which brings us back to Satoshi. Satoshi Nakamoto still holds roughly 1 million Bitcoin, nearly 5% of the total supply, worth tens of billions of dollars. They have never sold a single coin, never spoken publicly since 2011, never identified themselves. If Satoshi came back tomorrow, they couldn't change Bitcoin's rules. The code is open source. Any change requires consensus from thousands of miners, developers, and node operators worldwide. Satoshi built a system deliberately designed to not need Satoshi. They created something and then let it go. That is either the most selfless act in financial history or the greatest patience anyone has ever demonstrated, possibly both. Chapter 6. What to do next, if you're serious. So, you've sat through the history, the technology, the crash stories, the institutional money, the risks. You want to know what to actually do. I'll tell you what I'd tell a close friend. Step 1. Learn before you spend a single dollar. Understand what a private key is and why losing it means losing everything. Understand the difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet. Understand why Bitcoin is different from the 20,000 altcoins that also call themselves crypto. You don't need a finance degree. You need about 20 hours of honest research. This video is a start, not the finish. Step 2. Position size as if it could go to zero. Most credible financial advisors who are open to crypto suggest treating it as 1 to 5% of a diversified portfolio, not a replacement for one. The people who lost everything in crypto crashes didn't just make bad timing decisions. They made catastrophic position sizing decisions. Step 3. Have a strategy before you have a position. Are you buying Bitcoin as a long-term store of value and holding for years? Are you trying to trade short-term price movements? These are completely different activities requiring completely different skill sets. Most retail investors who try to trade crypto lose to the algorithms, the institutions, and the insiders. Clarity of strategy before clarity of entry. Step 4. Be most skeptical when everyone is most excited. The moments in crypto history when prices rose fastest, 2013, 2017, the end of 2020, early 2024, were all preceded by massive media hype and followed by significant corrections. When your uncle is asking which coin to buy, that is historically a warning sign, not a buy signal. Step 5. Only put in what you can watch go to zero without it ruining your life. This is not a hedge on crypto's future. It's a recognition of your own psychology. If you invest more than you can afford to lose, you will panic sell at the bottom. It's nearly guaranteed. The people who built wealth in crypto were the ones who could hold through the fear, and you can only do that if the size of the position lets you sleep at night. Conclusion. Bitcoin took 12 years to become a $1 trillion network. For most of that time, the people running the world's financial institutions were actively hostile to it. Governments tried to ban it. The media declared it dead hundreds of times. Scandals that would have destroyed any traditional company. The Silk Road, Mt. Gox, FTX dented it, and it recovered. Whether Bitcoin becomes the global reserve currency, or digital gold, or something we don't have a name for yet, or whether it eventually fades, nobody knows. Anyone who tells you they know with certainty is selling you something. What I do know is this. We are living through one of the most significant financial experiments in human history. And the people who understand it, really understand it, are not the same as the people who are just hoping the number goes up. You've just taken a significant step toward being in that first group. If this gave you something real to think about, like the video, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Are you a believer, a skeptic, or still figuring it out? Because honestly, Most honest, intelligent people are still figuring it out. And that's exactly where the best conversations start. Best of days ahead.